Fitin10 Nation, it is day 3 of the Fitin10 challenge, and I just sent you your numbers for this week. And I also included 2 links. A link for, it's like a nutritional database where you can, look at foods and see their nutritional content. Just a sort of a second resource, aside from MyFitnessPal. And there's also a link in there for you to give me your feedback at the end of this week, okay? And don't click on well, you can click on the link if you want, but I'm going to change some stuff on that link, so it's not going to look the same today as it will in a couple days, okay? All right, so your macros are out. Some of you are probably going to tell me you're giving me too much food. I know that, but just accept it. That's what you're getting. When you eat real whole food, which I'm going to encourage you to do, you're going to be full. It's just, it's the way it is. If you try to eat those macros, if you eat all your carbs eating, cereal, it will not be hard at all. Okay? But actually where you're going to find and I don't suggest you do that, where you're going to find this challenge, challenging, is the amount of protein, okay? So chances are your protein is way higher than what you're used to. So it's just the way it is. And I'm gonna tell you, make sure out of anything that you get your protein, all right? Now that's not to say that your fat and your macros are not important. I'm gonna say that again. That's not to say that your fat and carbohydrates are not important, but do not lack on your protein, okay? Get your protein. Every time you eat, I want you to seek out a protein-strong food, okay? A protein-strong food. Not a food that contains protein, okay? Because a lot of foods contain protein. We want foods that have a lot of protein in them in terms of their total caloric amount, okay? Percentage. So for example, nuts have protein in them, but they're not a strong protein because the majority of calories come from fat in the nuts, okay? So it's not a good protein source. You count the protein that's in nuts, but don't use that as a protein source. That would be a fat source, okay? All right, so, just to reiterate how you determine which food falls into which macronutrient, it's based on where the calories primarily come from, okay? Do they primarily come from fat, carbohydrates, or from protein, okay? So, I'm gonna just throw some things out there, even though you guys all have a booklet, and in there there's a list of, protein strong foods, fat strong foods, and carbohydrate strong foods. So let me just pull that up right now, just to refresh your memory. If you go to page, I think it's 23. I've got the old guide here, but I think it's still the same page. If you go to page 23, you're going to see protein strong foods. Okay, and if you go to page 24 and 25, I know I've shown you this, guys. I know I've shown you this before, but I want to show you again. Carb and fat strong foods. Okay, so not an exhaustive list, but nonetheless, it's all here, and it gives you an idea of what to expect. So for example, if you look at proteins and you see a lot of animal flesh here, you can assume that pretty much any type of animal flesh is going to be mainly protein. Okay. If you look at fats, you're going to see a lot of oils, a lot of butters, nuts. So again, right? What you can expect for fats. And of course, when you look at carbohydrates, we're looking at things like fruits, vegetables, and starches, right? So starches being breads, oatmeal, rice, pasta, yams, tubers, that type of thing, okay? All right, 4.5 minutes here. Okay, this is what I want to tell you about MyFitnessPal. And I know some of you already know this, but I'm going to just mention it again. If you see a food with a green check mark beside it, that means it's been verified. So it should be accurate. And I say should because I don't know how they're verifying it, but it should be accurate, okay? It should be. If it doesn't have the green check mark, it's more likely that it's not accurate. Okay. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's just we don't know. Okay. All right. Should I get to message of the day? Okay. Listen, I want to mention this again. Okay. You've got to, every meal that you eat, you've got to get a protein source in there. A protein strong source. Try to get it protein strong, a serving of fat as well, and a serving of carbohydrate. Okay? Do not have meals without protein. There's several reasons why. One reason why, though, is that you will not feel satiated. You will not feel as satiated. Okay? You're going to feel hungrier. And number two, you're going to feel like perhaps your energy levels start to crash. Number three, there's many reasons here, by the way, but these are maybe the top. These are what I'd call the top three. The third one is you do not want to get to the end of the day and have to make up your protein, because that is going to be seriously challenging. Okay, it's going to be very cumbersome. Protein is very satiating. It's very filling. Okay. All right, message of the day. If you plan to fail, you fail to plan. If you plan to fail, if you plan to fail, oh, should I read that right? If you fail to plan. I wrote this thing like the same way. I wrote, if you plan to fail, you plan to fail. Well, that's true. That would be true too. If you plan to fail, well, obviously you plan to fail. But what I meant to say is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, okay? Which means exactly what I'm saying. You have to plan everything out, okay? You have to plan. You have to plan. You have to plan. There is no way. You cannot wing this. People are going to try and wing this. I'm telling you that people will try because it happens every challenge. You cannot wing this. You can't. You can try. It won't work. You cannot wing this. You have to plan, okay? You have to plan, which means you need to make food in advance. Okay? I'm just telling you. All right, that's all I'm going to say. Submit and commit to this challenge. Positive energy, positive vibes. Give some gratitude, and for the love of God, believe in yourself. You are all capable of doing this. You just have to try. That's all you have to do. You just have to try, okay? 4 Zoom workouts per week and 3 cardio sessions. And for a lot of you, you've got more time on your hands. Let's just make this happen, okay? I will talk to you all very soon. Check your email. If you didn't get an email, let me know. Make sure you check your junk, your spam, whatever, if you don't see it in your inbox. And you'll see my lovely face tomorrow in another video. I'll talk to you guys all soon. See ya.